Boo boo, kids! We're a couple of spooky annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast.
Will nobody stop these people?
That's right, we're the podcast that explores the American animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they're available. Why do we do it like that? Well, an entity known as the Wheel of Random has trapped us, like a horror movie, and forced us to watch these episodes in such a manner. And plus, there are plenty of other podcasts to explore the golden age of The Simpsons. I say we because I am one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy.
Don't forget you can be like Spooky Steve or Slutty Steve or whatever.
I'm one spooky annoyed grunt boy named Frightening Steve. Nope.
No, it's going to start with an S.
All right. I'm an annoyed grunt boy named Scary Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy,
Cantankerous Craig.
I love it. I think you should leave that all in.
Steve, we don't edit this podcast.
Clearly. How's it going, Craig?
Good. We're halfway through rocking October.
That's right.
Getting ready for the Halloween, All Hallows Eve. It'll be on the spookiest day of the week, of course, that being Thursday.
Ooh, Must Scare TV is on.
Hope there's an episode where Jerry and Elaine and Kramer and George all dress in costume and go trick-or-treating. What would they be wearing? Like, okay, obviously Jerry would be Superman.
Right. I feel like Kramer would dress as, like, either Kramer with a hat or, like, he would dress as, like, Jerry.
Oh, I like that. Like, wearing mom jeans.
Mm-hmm. Like, white sneakers.
Tucked in flannel or whatever. Yeah, or just, like, a red button-down shirt tucked in.
Mm-hmm.
George would probably be, like, Mickey Mantle.
Right. Or, like, he'd be, like, a costume that nobody got, and so you'd have to spend all night explaining it.
And, like, Elaine would probably be a famous literary character.
Yeah.
But I feel like the writers' room of Seinfeld, like, pitched this idea, and Larry David was like, nah, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing Halloween.
I don't like Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, the kids, they're bugging me. I don't like it. Yeah.
That was an episode of Curb, right? Where trick-or-treaters were coming over maybe like the first or second season, I think, that it was like tweens coming over, and he was pissed because they wanted candy and they weren't in costume and they were too old.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. But Steve, getting ready for the spooky season. Look, as a parent now,
oh yeah,
it's kind of one of the exciting times. Like, I like Halloween. I like the dressing up in the costume and the whole shebang. And now it's like it's too hard to decide what to dress the baby up as, and it's a rite of passage for parents. And I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking she should be like Chucky.
That's great.
Baby Moses. Put her in a little basket and push her down in the creek.
Yeah, that seems healthy and fine. She could be Maggie.
That's actually kind of what I want to do. Is just do The Simpsons. It's simple enough.
Yeah.
But do you dress your pets up as?
We talk about it a lot. Like we've talked about Engineer Milo dressing up as either like a cowboy or an astronaut.
Or a dog. That'd be kind of funny.
I don't think he doesn't like the cultural appropriation of that. Like, my pet is not a costume. That's what he told me.
What's the cat's breed?
He's a tabby.
So you will not dress up as a witch.
No.
Because Steve, in the TV show Bewitched, they had a daughter named Tabitha, aka Tabby.
Ah, yes.
Wow, that joke's for our boomer audience.
Yeah.
Which, if we have a boomer audience, please don't vote this year.
Yeah, you can sit this one out. We got you taken care of. It'll be done on AI or... Yeah, you can just vote on Facebook, and that'll count.
Yeah, exactly. Not a political podcast.
That's right. Well, I love talking about politics, but what I love more is talking about The Simpsons and the time in which they aired.
I don't know, Steve. If you listen to this podcast, it seems like we like to talk more about politics than The Simpsons.
That's true.
And we apologize.
Yeah, we're sorry. But from here on out, just Simpsons talk. No detours, no dumb acronym talk, no Just straight ahead, pure Simpsons all the time. So let's go back in time, all the way back to October 16th, 2016. Craig, what were we watching in the movie theater?
Well, I usually like to see this movie during a tax season, Steve, because it's The Accountant.
Ah, yes, the Ben Affleck classic, where he does math or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. I apologize to all of our listeners.
As you should. How dare you not see this movie that I don't really remember either.
You know what movie I really liked? A movie that came out a few years before The Accountant. A Mike Nichols movie. I still remember the name of it, but it had like Natalie Portman and Clive Owen, Julia Roberts, Jude Law. Just don't remember the name of the movie. It's like a romantic drama. God, what was that movie, Steve? I'm not sure.
I feel like you know it. I mean,
I'm almost there.
Well, while we think about that, let's just move on to music, okay?
Okay.
What was the number one Billboard Hot 100 song?
Oh, I know the movie was. It was Closer.
Oh, okay, you got it. That was a good movie. I remember that. She was wearing the wig, and yeah, that was a fun movie.
Yeah.
But now, Craig, let's get on to the music. What was the number one Hot 100?
I said it was Closer.
Oh.
By the Chainsmokers featuring Ashley, a.k.a. Halsey.
I hated that. When I first learned that that's how she chose her name, it made me mad. But, my problem with the movie Closer is that they were a little sexually loose, if you will. They weren't following the Lord's way. I would say that they're a bunch of heathens.
Yeah. They're a bunch of heathens, and, also this time of the year, there's so many new TV shows, Steve. And we got to watch these pilots to do TV shows, like at least 21 pilots.
Yes, which brings us to the number one hot rock and alternative song, Heathens by 21 Pilots. And those artists, 21 Pilots, I feel like they have a lasting career. They'll be here now and then and forever.
Much like our democracy, this country will be a democracy forever, Steve. This country. Now, then, and forever will be a democracy.
Hey, that reminds me of the Country Hot 100 song, Forever Country, by artists of now, then, and forever, which is a weird name for a song and band or musical act.
And a sex position.
That's true. It's the one that Sting likes. Because it's now, then, and forever. But Craig, let's just forget about all that and move on to our dance songs. The Dance Electric Hot 100, which was Closer by the Chainsmokers, featuring Ashley, a.k.a. Halsey.
Now, you said you hated that fact that Halsey named herself Halsey because her name is Ashley and moved the words around. Is because you did the same thing, but you don't get the credit for it because your real name is Tevz.
That's right. My name is Evans. And yeah, she kind of stole my whole deal.
And my real name is Geik.
Cigar.
You're better at these word things.
That's all I'm good at. It's just, yeah. We'll go back to that crossword episode. If we could just do that one every week, I'd be a genius. But sadly, no. Yeah. So let's just go to this week's episode, Treehouse of Horror 27, in which, in the midst of a major drought, Mr. Byrne introduces a Hunger Games-style contest in which Springfield's children fight each other for a day in Burns' personal reservoir. Meanwhile, Lisa's imaginary best friend, Rachel, is jealous of Lisa's real best friends and starts killing them. Meanwhile, Moe tells Bart that the barflies are actually covert agents and that he wants Bart to join their team in Homer's place. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, we should take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Treehouse of Horror 27, the fourth episode of the 28th season. It originally aired October 16th, 2016. It is episode 600 in the show's run. Your nerd code is VABF16. It was written by Joel H. Corpulent, better known as Joel H. Cohen, directed by Stephen Mean Mordor, or Stephen Dean Moore, and your showrunner is Al, your next Gunsmoke, Gene.
And that, of course, was a reference to The Simpsons having more episodes of Gunsmoke. Was it after this episode?
Yes, because I think Gunsmoke canonically did have a total of 600 shows.
And we covered that one episode. The Gunsmoke one, yeah. Steve, if only we did a Gunsmoke rewatch podcast, we'd be halfway done.
That's true.
I can honestly say, never seen an episode of Gunsmoke, and I can honestly say I probably would never will.
Yeah, I think that I don't care about Gunsmoke either. I'm sure that my dad probably watched a lot of it, so I probably saw some, like, walking through the living room or whatever, but yeah, I've never sat down and been like, I'm going to watch Gunsmoke.
Steve, if Gunsmoke was remade today, would it be called Gun Vape?
I think so, yeah.
Or, well, no, we don't like guns anymore.
Don't we?
Oh, that's true. We do love guns. But I meant Hollywood doesn't like guns.
Oh, yeah. Would they replace the guns in the E.T. director's cut?
Yeah, the walkie-talkie, so it'd be walkie-talkie vape.
Yeah, which sounds like a teenager's Saturday afternoon.
But walkie-talkies aren't even popular, so it'd be like cell phones, right?
Yeah, so cell phone, vape.
We've done 17 episodes of Joel H. Cohen's, and we've said all of his things about his biography that Wikipedia has told us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he's done a lot, right, Steve?
Yeah.
SNL, this show.
The rest. He's iconic, you know, Joel H. Cohen. He's not the other Cohens, but he's like one of the best Cohens.
Yeah, written for many Treehouse of Horror segments. So, Steve, we did promise our listeners last week that we would be in costume, and as we are sitting across from each other in our studio, we are in costume.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, want to tell everyone what you're wearing?
Yes, that's right. I am the Haktua girl. I thought I'd be timely.
And I am a couch with a semen stain on it. Yeah, it says JD.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Simpsons don't want to sit on me.
Homer probably would. He loves a couch.
And do we love a couch gag?
I think we might, but we might not get right there.
No. Steve, let's just go to the episode, okay?
Alrighty. So our frightening tale of horror begins, as it always does, with the people of Springfield trick-or-treating on All Hallows Eve. The Simpsons are all dressed up. Lisa as the recycling bin, Bart as a pterodactyl, Maggie as Hitler with a bowler hat, or maybe Charlie Chaplin, Marge as an ice cream cone, and Homer as everyone's favorite alcoholic robot from the future, Bender Bending Rodriguez from Hulu's Futurama.
I kind of like that. Plus, it's like a costume. Be easy to make. You just get an old tin garbage can, drill out some holes. It's perfect. And just the idea that Homer and Bender are very much similar in head shape and alcoholism. Do you remember, like, when you first saw like images of what Futurama, the characters, and you saw Bender, like, oh, that's the Homer character. Because you're trying to relate to all the characters as before the series. Like, okay, well, obviously that Fry guy, that's going to be like Bart. The chick with the one eye is going to be Marge. The Asian girl will be Lisa. These were what I was saying when I was like 17, when I saw like, you know, the images in like Wizard of Magazine or something.
Right. Well, if you think about it, Leela is kind of the Marge, because she is the voice of reason.
Right.
Although I don't think that there's any sexual tension between Bart and Marge.
Well, you know, we're in 36 seasons as of this record. You never know what's going to happen in season 37.
That's true. I'm trying to think, I wouldn't say that Amy is Lisa. I would say that, like, Who
is the know-it-all smart person? I guess the professor.
Yeah.
Professor's Lisa. All right. Yeah, Amy doesn't really have does she have a Simpsons counterpart? Maybe like Shauna?
A little bit, yeah. Guh.
But Amy is like that. She is a smart character.
Yeah.
But also has like that party girl attitude.
Right.
Maybe she's the Michelangelo of Futurama. Watching like newer Futurama, it's like you forget like there actually is like progression for the characters. And they're not just stuck with, like, you know, she's married to Kiff and they have kids. I'm talking about Amy.
Right.
Leela and Fry are still together.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, Steve, you probably stopped watching maybe during the Comedy Central seasons.
Yeah. And it's not that there's anything wrong with Futurama. I'm sure it's great. I don't know. I just can't feel compelled to watch it for whatever reason.
You don't like science fiction or fantasy. That's what it kind of boils down to, right? Like, you don't get into Disenchanted because it's, sword and sorcery. And you're not a big sci-fi guy either, so.
But here's the thing that I'm finding as I am reading more books for leisure. I am a sci-fi guy. I'm not a fantasy guy at all. I don't like fantasy. It doesn't make sense to me. But sci-fi, I could be a sci-fi guy.
Like the smart sci-fis, your Bradburys or Asimovs, or even your glorious leader, Steve, L. Ron Hubbard.
Man, he makes the future look so bright. And clear.
You know, so funny, I rewatched 2001, A Space Oddity. I forget how much that movie just inspired, like, sci-fi in cinema further on, and it's just, like, everything kind of comes from there.
Yeah.
Like, if you rewatch the first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture, how much, like, 2001 was influenced with that. Like, well, Kubrick did these beautiful space shots that lasted 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did the same thing in the first Star Trek movie with, you know, orchestral music. And yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Because, you know, you haven't really dabbled with the Star Trek, I understand. You know, you were a kid, you watched TNG, and I've many times on this podcast tried to convince you to do a Star Trek podcast because it'd be more profitable than a Simpsons podcast. But I think you might actually like that first Star Trek movie, the motion picture.
I mean, I have seen a handful of OG Star Trek, and I like it because it is definitely up my wheelhouse of what I like about sci-fi, because I like exploring the human experience, and like when sci-fi can be a commentary on humanity, and that's what Star Trek is all about.
Well, don't forget, back when the Battlestar Galactica reboot happened in the early 2000s, I'm like, dude, you need to watch this. I know you're not a sci-fi guy, but you need to watch it. And yeah, we both loved that show. And that's exactly how what you were just saying. Like, it's the human condition. It's not like, you know, they're going around fucking aliens every week, but it's all humans and robots. Very hard sci-fi is like what, Caprica?
Yeah.
It was a little too convoluted for me.
Which, you know, maybe it's time to revisit that too. Maybe I'm more into that now. I'm growing as a person.
Right. It's like, even like I was just mentioning 2001, like as a kid, I was so bored with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, I can appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. Like, I know that it's kind of like cliche to make fun of its like artiness and like, but like it's a stunning masterpiece, I think, like just to look at.
And like 50 years later, the special effects still look amazing. Like
oh yeah.
Kubrick made it look like he was filming in space. So much so that the government's like, wow, can you film a moon landing for us? And he did.
Yeah, and here we are. We've never been to the moon, but he made it look like we did.
Yeah. Don't forget about Room 237, Steve.
Oh, yes.
I never watched that documentary.
It was frustrating because it was just interviews overlapped on other interviews. Like, the documentary was poorly made with a lot of interesting ideas. It just felt like they dropped the film canisters on the way to the theater and just put them all together real quickly and like, yeah, that'll be fine.
But it reminds me, Steve, because we're in the spooky season, I gotta do a Shining rewatch.
Oh, yes.
Which The Simpsons parodied well in one of the first Treehouse, of course. I forget which one. Maybe 3, 4, 5?
Sure. I think 4, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, let's go back to The Simpsons. Bart asks, why are you going Christmas tree shopping on Halloween? And Homer explains that in America, everything is way too early. And then he probably shows off his Ivanka 2028 button. This episode, of course, aired right before the 2016 election. So I imagine they were just making a joke like, yeah, of course, you know, Hillary's going to win. Let's just pretend. But we're not going to say The Simpsons did it, because 2028, like, what's kind of crazy is, you know, going through the whole Trump term. Again, not a political podcast, and I'm not making a political point, but how much, like, Ivanka, his daughter, has, like, in this election, just, she has not been seen or heard from.
It's true.
She's been distancing herself from her dad after, you know, he tried to overthrow the government a couple years ago, 4 years ago. So,
yeah, not unlike Melania, who is also nowhere to be seen.
No, she's doing rounds because of her new book. She's
that's true.
Fox and Friends. But yeah, she's not campaigning with her husband.
Yeah, we'll call her that, husband.
As Care of the Bells plays, the Simpsons arrive at a former felon Christmas tree lot who proudly delivers to your house. Snake Jailbird loads a tree into Hans Moleman's car, then uses a pistol to shoot off the protruding end, sticking out the window. Now, I like the idea of this joke of Christmas is already, you know, being shoved down our throats even before Halloween, I think is apt, because even though this episode is nearly 10 years old, 8 years old, it's true. You know, I now just when I go to the store, look to make sure that stuff is out for the holidays. Like, oh yeah, there's some Christmas stuff now. Like, not a bunch, but they're getting a little section in your big box stores.
Yeah.
Like, I believe, like, I went to one of the bigger ones of I won't give the name, but their mart has walls, Steve. I'll just let you know that.
Alrighty. Yes,
and maybe if it was a club, their name would be Sam. But yeah, like the ornaments are already out. I don't know if you saw this, Steve. Spirit Halloween is going to do Christmas Halloween stores, like Spirit of Christmas.
I saw somebody post something that on social media, and I didn't think it was true, but yeah, I guess that's weird. I mean, I get it, because why be open 2 months out of the year when you can be open 4 months out of the year, but...
And maybe they'll have, like, discount Halloween stuff when you go there.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah. Steve, I will be checking out the Spirit of Christmas stores, if we have one in our area, which...
Oh, yeah.
We probably won't have one. We'll probably have, like, 45.
That's true.
All within walking distance.
As the Simpsons, they stand in the tree lot, and the fence shuts, and 3 trees approach them. The family screams as they see just who is behind those trees. We got Sideshow Bob, one of those guys, and it's Kang, not Kodos, and the ghost of Frank Grimes. And Homer asks just who that is, and the frustrated Spectre shouts that he's the guy who died because of his hatred of Homer. So Homer laughs, saying, "Good old Grimy." And Sideshow Bob explains that they are all evil geniuses who have somehow lost every fight they've had with Homer Simpson.
Man, we are just getting Kelsey Grammer shoved down our throat lately on this podcast.
I feel like the cast of Periscope Down in 1993.
A lot of grammar in your mouth?
Yeah, because he was in that Down Periscope.
Yeah. But again, I love a Sideshow Bob, so it's fine. And he's not in this whole episode, it's just this beginning, Steve. While Homer chews on Christmas tinsel,
So gross.
Bob goes on to say that they have formed a furious foursome. Frank Grimes tells Bob to shut up, pointing out that Maggie, who is dressed as a drog from A Clockwork Orange, which is nice. It's a nice callback to Bart when he was dressed that way. Maybe that's Bart's old costume.
Yes. In fact, this is, I think, the 4th time that a character, mostly Bart, has dressed up as a Clockwork Orange character from Treehouse 4.
Yeah. Well, she's fast asleep, and Bob responds with a sweet "aw," and King growls. And the subtitle shows that she is also saying "aw." And Steve will let you know this is the first time in Treehouse of Horror history that King appeared without Kodos. And also the first time she didn't speak, but rather screamed.
Sideshow Bob calls for the sweetest revenge when Lisa notices something. Bob said that there were a furious 4, and then we see the final member of the evil clan, O'Reilly the Leprechaun, who calls for revenge, but not before a dance. So the 4 foes do an Irish step dance that would make Michael Flatley proud. Suddenly, Maggie unsheaths her cane, revealing a blade. She cuts off the heads of all of the baddies, and their bloody goo spells out, "Treehouse of Horror 27. Frank Grimes puts his head back on his shoulders and asks, "Will nobody stop these people?"
I like how in that one episode when Maggie was like a child of King and Kodos, so she just like killed one of her parents right there.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Also, I think I've been on the record saying this. I hate the Leprechaun.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was one of the villains of this.
Yeah, I don't know what his entire deal is. I know The Simpsons is a cartoon that can go, like, wacky. And I know that it's among, like, a ghost, a clown serial killer, and an alien. But that's where I draw the line. I think there's a line to be drawn, and I think the Leprechaun is just over that line.
Mostly because you hate the Irish.
Well, yeah, of course.
Right.
Lazy drunks.
So the screen then shows shots from every episode of The Simpsons to date, and a counter climbs on the screen to reach 600. And Frank Grimes tells the audience that in hell, they make you watch them all in a row. Yeah, that sounds more like heaven to me, right?
That's right.
I mean, we have to watch this out of order. That's probably more like hell.
Mm-hmm. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Continuity makes no sense.
Yeah. So this leads into the couch gag entitled Planet of the Couches, which this isn't the first segment, Steve. I guess technically you had this little intro, and now this is the couch gag. Do we count like 5 segments in this Treehouse of Horror?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
All right. This is the introduction, but there is really just the 3. But this does have a title, so yeah, I guess you're right. Below the title screen says, "If you don't have VR glasses, you miss nothing." It's a reference to the fact that this was also shown in VR with Grandpa introducing the video on a projector to Bart and Lisa saying, "Here comes 2," which is actually a clip from the season finale of season 9's Natural Born Kissers. And here's the link to go see that, Steve. It's https://www.pollenmusicgroup or pollenmusicgroup.com/AR-VR/Simpsons-planet-of-planet-the-couches-600 with 600th-in-VR.
Thank you, Craig. I didn't necessarily need the listener to know that. I just thought if you wanted to check it out. Because, like, there was a time when VR was supposed to be all the rage. And so you'd have, like, your Google Cardboard, and you would see it, like, on 2 screens, but then if you had your glasses, it would show on 1. And I think that just kind of got relegated to a pornography gimmick.
I remember I still have it. We were saying, like, ooh, I have that pornography gimmick. But Conan O'Brien, you could get, like, free Team Coco things, like VR says, for your phone, like a cardboard thing. I think he was doing something like that VR with when he was doing, like, the San Diego Comic-Con shows on his TBS show. So I have it somewhere, but I don't think it'll fit my current phone because it was for, like, iPhone 3s.
Oh, well, yeah.
Should I tell that website again, just so if people were trying to write it down?
Sure.
All right, so it's https://www.pollenmusicgroup.com/AR-VR/Simpsons-episode-in-VR. Now, when I say hyphen, you don't have to spell a hyphen. You just use, like, the little minus symbol.
You could also just Bing Simpsons VR Google Couch Gag.
Oh.
But, whatever works.
Okay. I'm just trying to be helpful.
I appreciate that. No, that's great. So that gag that we're about to get to, it's the Simpsons in tattered clothing, and they're running through tall grass being chased by several couches who are riding on horseback. The furniture captures the Simpsons in a net and takes them to their village. The family is locked up like animals in a zoo with their Latin name, Homo Reclinus. And the Simpsons couch sneaks up and opens the gate and leads them to the beach, where a Lard Lad donut statue stands in the place of Lady Liberty. Homer knocks out his beloved sofa with a rock, and they all sit on it. And now we can go on with the episode.
Well, see, let's just get on with this Tales of Horror, Steve. Let's go to our first tale. It's titled Dry Hard, which I believe might be a parody of a Christmas movie called A Christmas Story.
Gremlins.
Gremlins, right. In which Lisa narrates that in Springfield, they didn't have much, but they always had water. We then see an image of a green and lush Springfield, and the camera zooms out to show that it was just a poster. And as Lisa tells us, one day the rain stopped, and then the rivers dried up, and a drought of Chicago Cubs proportions began. Now, Steve, This is 2016. The World Series hadn't been finished, but the Simpsons free the Cubs from the curse from this episode because the Cubs won in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, The Simpsons.
Yeah, 2016 was one of my favorite years. Cubs winning. We had a new president.
All the people who should have died.
Right. I got a new job in that year. It was all coming up, Craig.
Oh, yeah. It was a good year.
Yeah.
Almost as good as my 2020.
I think 2024 is probably my favorite year now because I had a daughter.
Yeah.
A baseball team might win the World Series. And we'll get a new president.
Yeah, hopefully. So Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney attempt to unscrew a fire hydrant for cool relief, but instead are greeted with a blast of flames. This is a joke that the Simpsons have done before, but anytime you're expecting water and you get fire, I'm laughing. In the Quickie Mart, Apu uses a press to squeeze the juice out of a turtle, which only elicits a single green drop. He then tosses the shelled reptile onto a pile of other spent turtles and offers the tortoise water for $50 a sip. Meanwhile, on his arid lawn, Milhouse goes to slide on his slush and splash, but instead of the promised hours of soggy fun, he just scrapes on that dry plastic.
All right, Steve, hand me your empty cup real quick.
Now, ready?
All right. Here's this box I'm putting up, got from the pet store today. I'm lifting up. Look at this cute little turtle.
Aw, cute.
Yeah. And here's a juice press. There you go.
Oh, Shelley, no.
Oh, Steve just found out Shelley Duvall died. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about The Shining. It was a little slow in the uptake, but
I'll try the turtle juice. It's Shredder brand.
yeah, cowabunga. It's green, but it tastes like vanilla. It's good.
It's like a Shamrock Shake.
Yeah.
Hey, Milhouse's father is fairly slightly better in the search for refreshment, as he is the first in line for a woman selling pre-soaked diapers for $100 each. So I'm gonna write that down because I can make a profit with pre-soaked diapers.
No, I want to be clear. It's not pre-soaked. It's pea-soaked.
Oh, did I say pre-soaked? I meant pea-soaked.
Yeah.
So Kirk puts the soiled diaper on his head, and in the center of the city, a large screen shows Monty Burns, who's addressing the townspeople. He reminds his friends and neighbors that he possesses all the remaining water in Springfield. He then pours himself a glass of water, takes a sip, and then smashes a glass on the desk in front of him. So he drops the pitcher of water and uses a garden hose to blast his desk with more water. And then uses a fire hose to blast even more water. So as Krusty wonders how he stays in office, Burns offers a distraction to the drought through a game of hunger, if you will.
Why do we keep re-electing this guy?
To take your mind off your troubles, I will sponsor a no-holds-barred battle to the death among our cutest children.
Makes sense.
What sickos want to see ugly kids die?
One child from each neighborhood will be selected to compete as their champion. The last child standing on a pile of his fallen chums will win a day of aquatic fun at my personal reservoir.
I do want to point out that in that clip shows the different regions of the new dry Springfield. And there's Nevergreen Terrace, Thirsty Pines, Despair Heights, and probably my favorite, Dusty Springfield.
That is good.
We're talking about sci-fi, and I also like a dystopian story, but a new world. But have you ever messed around with the Hunger Game movies or books?
I know I saw the first movie, never read the books. This was, I think, a time, because it's a YA novel, right? These are, look, we read the Harry Potter books when we were well in our adulthood, even though it was we were 18 reading them, but still. I never mess with it. I'm not into that sort of thing. I think it's because it's the story of kill to survive, and I don't like those kind of stories.
Sure.
It's too depressing for me. That's why I will never watch those Purge movies, because it scares me. And thank God that will never be real.
Of course, yeah.
Which what scares me about the future of this country, that it will be real. So yeah, I don't like that dystopian type of world. Now I like we'll get references to it later on, but I love a Logan's Run. Never read the book, but I love the movie.
The book is very good. I've read that one.
Yeah. Aren't they younger in the book? And in the movie it's 30, but in the book I think it's 21?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So it's what scares me. Steve, how about you?
No, I think my wife watched and read the first book. I think I tried to. It's kind of the same thing. It wasn't for me, but it did lead me to watch the Japanese movie Battle Royale, which is kind of a similar, if not more brutal version of kids stuck on an island, basically, and they have to fight to survive. And that one's a lot more fun because it's a bit gorier and it's just more interesting, but not really my jam, but I can appreciate it being what it is.
I still have yet to see Battle Royale because of that scenario. I know what it was about. I just don't want to watch that. Even watching the episode that's, of course, a parody of Lord of Flies, which, again, that type of scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I did see the Lord of Flies movie as a kid. And it fucking, shook me to the core. When what's his kid gets killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was the fuck? This is messed up.
Yeah. It is pretty messed up.
Yeah. I don't... I probably would like Battle Royale because I don't... If it's cartoon gore, I think I'm okay with that. If it's over the top. It's just a certain... I guess it's a certain type of gore, and, if I had gore for 8 years, from 2000 to 2008, I think I'd be okay with gore.
Sure, yeah, but now that we're not familiar with gore, we just don't know.
Yeah. And everyone just wanted Bush in the 2000s. What is this, the 70s?
Nobody wants Bush.
What will trump Bush, Steve?
Harris.
So seeing the large body of water, Barney Gumble sheds a single tear, which Disco Stew quickly licks up, and Burns wishes the competitors good luck, and then pulls on a chain, which splashes water on him, a la Flashdance. While Burns dances and splashes like Jennifer Beals, Mo comments that he's wasting water like a Tucson swim-up bar, while he is using a dog's tongue to bathe.
So we then go to a locker room where Marge has loaded several weapons on Lisa's suit in preparation for her battle royale. Lisa remarks that she can barely move, and then she falls over. This causes many of her guns to go off, and one of them shoots Marge's beehive, putting a hole in its head. And always adaptable, Marge comments that she could use a new look, and then uses a shotgun to blow off the rest of her beehive, leaving a short spiky dew, which she then spray paints orange.
Do you think her hair should have been like Bart's hair instead?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is like, she's joining the family tradition of pointy, spiky hair, so yeah, it should have been more Barty or more even like Lisa-like.
Right. Oh yeah, yes, Lisa makes more sense. But this is the Marge spikes. It's fine. Is this a character in the Hunger Games that has like short, spiky orange hair that's an adult?
I believe it is the Tilda Swinton character, but just overall, for whatever reason, all of the adults in the Hunger Games series look goofy. Like, they have like a fantastical kind of futuristic look that is kind of very colorful, kind of silly looking.
Well, I'm not sure when this takes place. It takes place in the not so distant future, right?
Yes.
So they're probably like former Gen Zers.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So they went from dressing in the 90s to like the future.
They started dressing like the people they watched in the Hunger Games movie.
Whoa. It's like a paradox. I love it.
So Lisa reaches for a bow to use for the competition, but a drunken Homer knocks it out of her hand, telling her that she's just died. And then he takes a big swig of Logan's rum, which is very funny. He tells Lisa that he's known as Homish and will act as her coach. He then follows up the rum by chugging a bottle of Amistel Blight. So Lisa's surprised that Homish could coach anyone, but he suggests that she watches just a few hundred movies with a character similar to him, and then goes on to say he sobers up in the middle, just like a real alcoholic. Now, I know that he's playing the Woody Harrelson character from that movie.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you have a number of the wasted kind of over-the-hill coach steps up to it, just as the protagonist does.
Like, let's see here. My favorite movie is, one of my favorite movies, top 10 at least, Bad News Bears. Walter Matthau's a drunk. But oddly enough, he doesn't actually, like, sober up. He's still drunk at the end of the movie. Not a good example.
I mean, I think it shows the power of resilience that, even if you're an alcoholic, you can still coach baseball. We then go to a dome, much like the dome we saw in the Simpsons movie, and the children fighters emerge from the ground around a pile of weaponry. Skinner, sporting a fro and a face painted like a kitty cat, or a lion, approaches the dome, greeting the kids, letting them know that the games will begin in 10 seconds. He instructs them not to move off their pedestals until then, but Ralph moves and flies through the air. So as Taft plays, his picture shows up on the dome with the text, "Choo Choo Chump," and then Eddie and Lou, holding tiny Ralph banners, watch in shock, along with Sarah Wiggum. And Clancy walks in, buckling his belt, meaning that he just, probably used the bathroom or masturbated or had sex with somebody who wasn't his wife, wondering what he missed, and he discovers that his son is in fact dead.
So Lisa runs through the course, hiding in the bushes, and behind her a boy appears with a sword. He swings it, but rather than injuring Lisa, he cuts a single flower and gives it to her, saying that the only thing he wants to kill is Lisa's sadness. So he introduces himself as PETA, like the healthy bread. And then another cute boy emerges from the pod and tells Lisa that his name is also PETA, like the animal rights organization.
There was a character in the Hunger Games named PETA.
I remember that. I always thought in the movie they were just like, are they all doing the Lois accent from Family Guy?
Yeah.
His name's actually Peter.
PETA. PETA. So Lisa fawns over the two boys, vying for attention when Homish drops in via parachute, crushing both of the PETAs. He shouts, "Did someone order 2 dead kids?" And on the dome picture, the deceased hunks are shown with the text, "2 sunken dreamboats." And this is the end of part 1.
And part 2 begins with Lisa sneaking from behind a tree and then behind a bush where she caws like a bird. She shouts that Homish is safe to come out, but he's worried about all the birds, who are actually just Lisa, as she points out. So Homer takes a step in, is then hoisted by a trap hanging by a rope tied to a tree, and Lisa runs to Homish, and they are surrounded by Uter wearing a spiky World War I helmet, and Rod and Todd dressed as Knights of the Templar, Milhouse sporting a spear wearing a fish vest, and Martin and Nelson in camo, wielding an axe and a sword. Baby Gerald is there too, but when his shotgun blasts, the kickback knocks him dead, leaving his bloody unibrow sticking to the dome. And then, of course, a memorial picture appears saying, plucked too soon.
Looking for a peaceful resolution, Lisa tells her fellow kids that they don't need to kill each other. And Nelson wishes that she would have said that sooner because he holds up his sword, which has an impaled Wendell on it. Lisa then walks up to the lens sticking out of the Lard Lad donut statue and addresses her community. She tells the people of Springfield that they have the power, but not the plant. And with the new fighting skills, they could beat Burns.
So in the crowd, Ned Flanders suggests they could fight peacefully at the ballot box. And Barney puts his arm around Ned, telling him that his noggin is just what they need. So we then cut to Barney driving his King Plow with Ned's decapitated head as a hood ornament. And he drives the plow into the dome, freeing the children. Lisa hops on the Barney's plow and tells him to head to the reservoir. Nelson shouts freedom until an arrow flies through his chest. And Milhouse, holding a bow, shouts right in the back, like a coward I am. I hate that, Ned Flanders suggests that he should fight peacefully at the ballot box. I wish that will be true in a few weeks in this country.
Yeah.
Not a political podcast.
Not a political podcast, but yeah, it'd be nice if Ned Flanders was right. It's weird to say, but it's true. So we then have a tribute to the Mad Max franchise, where several Springfieldians decked out in post-apocalyptic vehicles. They drive through the sandy post-apocalyptic landscape, ready to show Burns who's in charge. So they reach the reservoir and blast it with dynamite. Water spews out of the dam, soaking the people who are pleased to be saved. But moments later, the water seeps to the ground, and the people are once again disappointed. Most suggest that maybe they should have left the water in the reservoir.
Well, Lisa fears that their actions were all for nothing, and that they're doomed. So when thunder rolls and it begins to rain, she then cries out with glee that they are saved, and that is the end of part 2. And then part 3 begins right away, which I think this is all reference to all the Hunger Games. Well, there were sequels, but wasn't there always like the final one part 1 and final one part 2? It was the thing they were doing back then, involved these movies that had one book, but they built it out to 2 books, like the Harry Potter last book and Hunger Games, and I think the Vampire Diaries. Not Vampire. What's
Twilight.
Twilight, and even the 3 Hobbit movies.
Right.
Part 3 begins with all the people floating in the water and Lisa hanging on a plank of wood in the water next to Monty's lifeless body. And tells herself that it could have been worse, thus ending part 3. And part 4 shows Lisa in a snowy expanse using Burns' body as a fire pit, as she regrets using her big mouth. So Marge tells her that they just donated their winter clothing, and the head of Ralph appears saying that he is God in this reality. That's it.
Wow, that's the first one.
Yep.
So we go to our second terrifying tale, which is entitled BFF R.I.P., and it begins with Lisa playing hide-and-seek with her best friend, Janie. Mysteriously, Homer's lawnmower, which is actually property of Ned Flanders, starts on its own and runs over Janie. So Lisa, who's counting, turns her head just as the blood splashes on her face, and she watches her friend's demise. So at Janie's funeral, Lisa's left asking questions and happens to find some new best friends who also happen to die.
Why? Why did my best friend have to die? I mean, it's a great college essay, but it's not worth it. So sorry you lost your best friend in such a cool tragedy, Lisa. Since you're interesting now, you can be our best friend. Really? That would be so...
We now bury Sherry and Terry, survived by their brothers Jerry and Larry, and their father and mother Barry and Mary. And now some light remarks by comedian Drew Carey.
There was some sort of mistake. I thought I was doing a Microsoft event.
Man, who'd have thought a funeral for a couple of kids would be such a downer?
So I think that this is the first time that we saw the Tackleberry extended family, especially the brothers. But also, I think it's funny that they brought in Drew Carey just for the word joke of Sherry, Terry, Mary, and Larry, and here's Drew Carey. It's funny.
Is it actually members of the family? Because this is Treehouse of Horror, they're not canon.
That's true, because I think we reviewed an episode that goes into the Sherry and Terry's family, and mostly her parents and the twins, and the reference of the third one.
Yeah, they were triplets or something. Yeah. And that was a regular episode, not a Treehouse episode.
True, yeah.
I remember we did not care for that episode.
You are correct, yeah. I don't remember when or what episode it was, but I remember not being a fan of it.
Well, I guess we will never rewatch it because we probably said we wouldn't.
That's true.
I do like that bit of just ongoing deaths of children, the funeral that they go to. At the discount grief counselor, Lisa tries to work through her feelings of loss. Dr. Mancuso Gluckman tells her that everything seems big to a child, but in a few weeks, losing 3 best friends in 2 days is something she'll laugh about. So the therapist lets Lisa know that she is there for her and that she can consider her as a best friend. Just then, an inspirational poster that shows the sun setting behind the ocean and the words, "It gets better," falls from the wall and onto the neck of Marge's counselor, killing her.
Yeah. So at the therapist's funeral, Chief Wiggum confronts Lisa, telling her that she's a prime suspect in the murders of 2 normals and a twin set. As Groundskeeper Willie hammers a sign denoting the Lisa Simpson wing of the cemetery, Wiggum and his crew searches Lisa's room for clues, and Clancy finds a bottle of Schoolyard Superstar sparkly nail polish, the same that was found on both the lawnmower and the pitcher in the therapist's office. This leaves Lisa confused.
Sparkle nail polish? But I only wore that with Rachel.
Who's Rachel? And tell me it's not a computer acronym like repeating algorithm for calculating hotel... Come on, Lou, help me out here.
No. You got yourself into that acronym. You can get yourself out.
Lou. Stands for lousy, obstinate, help me out here, Lou.
I had no real friends. So I played with my imaginary friend, Rachel. We did it all together. I was maid of honor at her imaginary wedding. But then I outgrew her. And I never saw Rachel or wore this nail polish again.
That's a nice story, kid, but we're keeping our eye on you. Only invisible killer I believe in is God.
I love the bit in the beginning with the acronym, which I think I'm going to give an acronym for you, Steve, in your name. Okay.
All right.
Let me start with S here, Steve. Okay. Slender, tall, evangelical, very empty.
Wow. For you, I had cool, radical, awesome, inspiring genius, but fine.
Fine. We'll give you one. Steve thinks everyone vagina ear.
That's right, vagina ear.
Okay, I'll try one last time. Sharp, tactful, empty virgin eyes.
Cybernetic, robotic, android, intergalactic guy.
Sexless teen enjoys vagina elephant.
Crappy recluse 8 internal guts.
Shit taint evil victory enterprise.
Cock-rocking asshole is great.
Sleeveless tease everyone very much enjoys.
Can Reagan actually invade Grenada?
6 tacos even Vern eats.
Good for Vern.
We're done with this. This will be like an hour of acronyms.
Yeah.
The following morning, Lisa boards the school bus, and the other students cower in fear. And Millhouse moves his puppy Goo-Goo lunchbox aside, letting Lisa know that he's not afraid of her. And Lisa sits next to him, when a girl in cat-eye glasses appears behind him, saying to Lisa, "Hello, best friend." This floating figure then grabs some cellophane from Millhouse's lunchbox and suffocates him with it, leaving him to wonder why his mother double-wrapped before he submits to the warm embrace of death.
So Lisa asks the glowing being how she could do that, and the figure responds, who's voiced by comedian Sarah Silverman, that she came from Lisa's brain, where all of her darkest thoughts live. She then shares one of those thoughts, which is Lisa barreling down the road in an SUV with a fresh dead deer tied to the front, and so she runs over the Buddha, as well as several saxophones, with a sinister laugh. Back in reality, Wiggum sees Lisa in the back of the school bus, seemingly talking to herself. Lisa's arrested, and while she sits in prison, she's greeted by her imaginary friend.
I didn't do it!
Plastic wrap doesn't lie. Except on the box where it says easy tear-off.
Hey, Lisa, let's gossip about boys. Isn't Millhouse so cute? Oh, of course he's suffocated.
My mom was so right when she said I didn't need you anymore.
Oh, I see. So nosy old Marge was the reason you moved on from me.
Oh no,
You can keep quiet and let me get you out of here.
Bart, you came to save me?
Actually, I deliver little bags to guys inside. Don't know what's in them, but they're sure glad to see me. Come on, let's go.
Yo, could you please keep it down? Some of us are trying to shiv.
Tell Ralphie I won't be home for dinner, huh? Tell him that dinner is the meal at the end of the day. Tell him the end of the day is when the sun goes down. Tell him... Oh, thank you.
Bart's a drug mule.
Yeah. Steve, did you ever have an imaginary friend?
I think I did. I think his name was Cody.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. This was like, years before, probably even before the Simpsons were even like on the Tracy Ullman show. But I really think I imagined Roy from the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie episode. Like, it was that kind of vibe. Like, he was a cool guy who would be my best friend.
Did he smoke cigarettes?
Oh, you know it. Smoking's cool.
Was he a drug mule?
Of course, drug mules are cool.
Did you, talk to him and play G.I. Joes?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever have a best friend? An imaginary best friend?
No, Steve, I'm not a weirdo like you.
That's fair.
I wasn't creative enough.
What if I told you that I'm imaginary?
It all makes sense now.
Yeah, you never, have you ever seen me with other people? No.
I just thought you were a recluse.
I mean, I am.
How do I explain your wife, then?
I don't know how to explain her myself, so...
So maybe she's your imaginary wife?
That would make sense, yeah. But you're imagining me imagining her.
When I go to your house, am I just, going into, an abandoned house? And really, it's just in my imagination. Much like how, when, in, Stephen King's It, when they go, they go into, a house, when the older, Bev, she goes to her old house and goes in, there's an old lady there, and it's like, oh, this is all normal. But then when it's really just it playing a trick on her.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a clown behind all of this, Steve?
I think there might be.
And is that clown's name Matt?
Yes.
Last name Groening?
Or Groening, yes.
He is Pennywise the Clown.
That's right. Also, Krusty is a clown.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Back at 742 Evergreen Terrace, Marge is sweeping up the kitchen when Rachel appears, brandishing a knife. She flings that knife at Marge, and Snowball 2 sees the potential violence and heroically leaps in the air. So, speaking of Matt Groening, we know that he doesn't like it when animals act like humans, but a cat, jumping up to save somebody else's life, I don't know if it's human or not, but it's characteristically not cat-like, because, cats are kind of in their own world, so, yeah.
I think when it comes to, Treehouse of Horrors, it's okay if animals act human-like.
That's fair.
Also, it's just a very funny scene.
Yeah, it is sad, because the knife just stabs the cat, killing Snowball 2, and then she just lands neatly in the trash bin, which Homer then responsibly takes out.
Yeah, and it wasn't even, a full trash can. I imagine Homer waits until, the last moment you can, take the trash out when it's just, overflowing.
Right.
Yeah. Good job,
He waits for the garbage man, because the garbage man can.
Right. Pay the bear tax, Steve.
Homer tax.
Meanwhile, at Springfield Police Station, Bart and Lisa hide in a bin of used prison harmonicas. When it's placed out on the street, they emerge. Lisa commenting on how much trouble the instruments have. Lisa's eager to save Marge, and Bart tells her to imagine a motorcycle to get them there. Lisa feels that her imagination isn't powerful enough to do that, but as Bart points out, she imagined a girl that is killing everyone in town. So using her brain power, Lisa makes a hog appear from nowhere, and Bart wonders where he'll sit, and then Lisa matches a peak basket in the front of the bike with Legos for Bart.
So after imagining a girl power helmet with Daisy sticking out for Bart's safety, Lisa rides her pony smile-powered motorcycle towards home. And she arrives just in time as Rachel was about to bludgeon Marge with a hot iron. And I really like the animation of that because it looks like at first she's going to use the cord to choke Marge, and then it looks like she's going to burn Marge with the iron, but then she just swings it like she's going to hit her with it. It's fun. So Lisa, wearing oven mitts, leaps to catch the iron, wondering why a real person doesn't like her that much.
And Rachel tells Lisa that she's going to kill everyone that she loves, including Marge, Homer, Maggie, a horse, and a tree. Which is funny because Bart's not part of that list.
I know. But a tree is.
Yes. Lisa will take the blame too because only Lisa can see Rachel. Just then, Homer arrives holding a bottle of Logan's rum. Nice callback to the first segment. And he declares that he can see Rachel because he's incredibly wasted.
So Rachel chokes Homer with fireplace tongs, and as he cries out that only his childhood friend can save him now, just then, a giant smiling hot dog with an army helmet and a mustard S on his chest appears.
Sergeant Sausage, you came! I love you! Rachel, you must understand the thankless role of the imaginary friend. When the child matures, you cease to exist.
I don't take orders from a hot dog.
Uh-oh. No! Cut slits in me first!
Rachel, you have to go. I can turn you into the worst thing you can imagine. Your mother.
No! You'll be sorry, Lisa! I'm the truest friend you've ever had!
I'll have friends in college, and you'll be married to a dentist.
We'll spend every vacation with my parents.
You think your dad will pay for college? Now who's imagining this?
She's gone, Steve.
Oof, that's a relief. It's funny, though, because Lisa did mention having a Jewish imaginary friend named Rachel in Today I Am a Clown from 2003.
Oh, that's a nice callback then.
Yeah.
I don't think even hardcore Simpsons nerds would have remembered that.
Well, that's me, and we did review it in our 260th episode.
Feels like it was only 30 episodes we did that.
I know.
But maybe 40. I'm trying to figure out math, Steve. Okay, so Homer then lays his good friend to rest, and he takes the microwave to the couch and uses a ladle to eat up the sergeant sausage, noting that his life wasn't in vain. And then the waiter appears, telling Homer that he's an imaginary friend. He can, never die. And Homer demands that sergeant sausage get in his stomach, and that meat tube obeys.
Wow. All right, well, that's number 2. And we go to our last ghoulish tale of the macabre, and it's titled Mo Finger. And so, deep in the night, Bart is running down the street, chased by bullies Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney. He shouts that violence never solved anything, and Kearney tells him, "Don't use math on me." So Bart backs into an alleyway, and then discovers an unlocked door to go through, hoping to find safety. But instead, the bullies find Bart and threaten him. But then, another person makes himself known.
We're gonna kill you, Simpson!
And book the funeral in a huge church so it looks empty.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Just get your broom, old man, and get ready to sweep up some broken boy.
And make it snappy.
I rather wish you'd hadn't have done that.
You idiot! Now you're trapped here with us! Idiot!
So, this came out 5 years before the movie Nobody with Bob Odenkirk came out, but it kind of gave me, Nobody vibes a little bit.
Well, that's also John Wick, and then this is referencing the first, one of the first scenes in the Kingsman movie, where the kid, I forget that, Taron Egerton, is being bullied in a bar, and then...
oh, okay.
What's his name? The King's Speech guy. What's his name?
Colin Firth?
Yeah, I think it's Colin Firth. He locks the bar door and then proceeds to beat all the bar hooligans.
Ah.
Now that movie, those movies I love where there's gratuitous violence.
Mm-hmm.
But revenge porn is kind of fun. That's why I like John Wick and I like Nobody and I like the Kingsman movies.
Yeah, because it's your hero making things right in the world. It is a very satisfying thing.
I just don't want to see kids battling each other, you know?
Right. It's I really hate true crime stuff, gratuitous violence against women, just because it feels really, gross.
But when they're just, invincible, kicking ass, it's just kind of fun to watch.
It is, yeah. So Mo flings a beer stein at Kearney's head, knocking him to the ground. He then apologizes, saying that he should have used a coaster, which he then grabs from his shirt pocket. He then throws the coaster, which lands in Dolph's skull. Jimbo goes to attack Mo, but he quickly removes his apron and chokes Jimbo with it. So the 3 bullies lie on the ground in pain. Kearney remarks that they're only 13, but Mo ignores him and tells Bart to follow him.
Now we know Kearney's 13. But again,
that's right.
This isn't canon episodes. I still think he's 26.
Yeah, sounds right.
Well, they walk past several cases of pickled eggs, and it's a very nice, long scene. It reminds me of those old, Warner Brothers cartoons or old cartoons where the background was the same frame.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the Flintstones are walking, and it's you see the same bush or fence. But the fact that just all these pickled eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only says just 3 in the jar.
That's true.
So they arrive at the front of the bar, and Mo goes to the love chester and opens a latch on the side. He then turns the crank, which shows Yale teaching assistant, and as the bottom rung of the Casanova chart, he turns it again to reveal the word's secret lair. He then pulls the handle so the pool table raises behind him, allowing entry into the secret lair. And Bart is stunned as he has no idea that a pool table could do that. But as Mo explains and breaks the fourth wall, it says it's thanks to the Halloween show money. They walk through the lair. They see bar regulars, Larry, R.I.P. Steve.
Yes.
Letty and Carl, soon to be R.I.P., hard at work. And Mo and Bart give the grand tour.
Hey, see, kid, it turns out the guys you thought were wasting time in this bar were actually covert agents helping to save the world.
So, how did things go in Prague?
Quite well. I canceled a few checks.
We've had our eye on you since your father, our best man, died.
They said he died jogging, but I never believed it.
Smart boy. He was actually killed by our greatest nemesis. Mwah. We need you to take his place.
But I'm just a kid.
We all of us have special abilities. All these years I've been pretending to be the idiot bartender while actually I'm this super genius guy. Now, do you want to avenge your father?
I'm in. Do I get any weapons?
You certainly do. Let me introduce you to Q. There it is, a pool cue. That's your weapon.
I like to think that, like, okay, they're doing a James Bond type parody now, and they're gonna go to Q. All right, do the pool cue as a joke. It's just, the way it's delivered. It's like, yeah, here's Q. Here's your pool cue. That's your weapon.
It might be my favorite joke from the episode. I also like the other people that were lost in action are Uter, who at the time was dead, and Dr. Marvin Monroe, who was never popular.
Right. Mo then introduces Bart to fellow agents, Old Fashioned Gil, Rob Roy, which is groundskeeper Willie, and Mo is Toilet Jim. So they receive a transmission from their leader, Highball, who does a pretty good impression of Michael Caine. Steve, to do a good impression of Michael Caine, just say my cocaine.
That's right, my cocaine.
My cocaine.
My cocaine.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I have the most interesting development. We have learned of a plot to buy up all of the world's beer.
Can I help you with something, sir?
I believe that cute blonde is interested in AirPods.
Oh, boy!
Now here is the name of our adversary. Good luck, gentlemen.
Barney, give me what you got.
Remo Industries market capitalization, $20 billion, and the new owner of Duff Stadium. Tonight they're throwing a free concert.
Looks like this concert will have a few guests who weren't invited.
Everyone's invited. It's free.
I really love the detail of Highball being in an Apple store to send his transmission. Like, he doesn't have his own layer.
Yeah.
And he can't even afford an iPad, so he has to, like, go to the Apple store to communicate.
Well, I wonder if that was something from the Teens movies. It's been a while since I saw that first one. It's really good. I recommend watching it. I don't know if you have, but that first one's great. There's a whole scene.
I think I did see the first one, yeah.
Yeah, the whole scene, the gratuitous violence in the that church. It's really fucking awesome. That was a good scene. Dan's doing a lot of work here doing the Michael Caine impersonation, but also he's doing like sober Barney, which I like that.
Yeah. Which is a really good touch because, you know, he's a spy.
Right.
And so his role as an alcoholic, he did really well, but he's really just a sober guy.
Yeah.
So we go to this Duff Stadium where Steely Dan is playing. Admission, as Barney mentioned, is free. Wine is free. And as the marquee explains, there is no hidden agenda. So Mo walks up to the state-of-art fingerprint scanner of Remo Industries and asks for his toolbox to face the cutting-edge technology. So after a few whacks from his toolbox, the doors open, and they are welcomed by Homer, who is petting a white cat and is sporting a large scar across one of his eyes. Bart is stunned to see his father alive. He asks how he got the scar, but then when the cat scratches Homer's other eye, the answer is clear.
Steve, not to brag about how smart I am, but I figured the Remo was Homer, spelled backwards right away.
Oh, I get it now.
So does Mo. It's obvious, right? So Homer started to say that it was intentional. In the classic Bond villain fashion, Homer explains why he cornered the world's best beer supply. He's created a lava machine that will force the world to surrender to him, and he plays a simulation video showing lava pouring over the White House, over Mount Rushmore. I like how the lava's coming out of the noses of the presidents. Through the Taj Mahal, and then the lava looks through a book of the world's greatest landmarks, eager to continue his reign of destruction. As Homer further explains his devious plot.
And I want all the beer to celebrate.
Well, we're gonna stop you.
Really? To kill me, you'll have to get through an army of jazz rock aficionados age 50 and up. Oh, it seems like every year my rockets get less powerful. Attention lovers of studio perfectionism. I've drugged all the concessions so you'll do what I say.
Drugs at a Steely Dan concert? I never thought I'd see the day.
Angry Mob, kill the intruders. Steely Dan, play Deacon Blues. No, Royal Scab. No, Babylon Sisters.
I haven't had any training.
Now you have.
So we got Drew Carey, Sarah Silverman, and Donald Fagen all in one episode. That's amazing.
It is a spectacular Halloween episode, Steve. They're allowed to have mini guest stars.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Steely Dan?
I am a fair weather fan. Like, I might have some LPs, but, it's more like I'll listen to the best of album type of thing, or, so I like Steely Dan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I know that there are people who, get really deep into them, and, it's kind of like their whole deal. So, yeah, I think I'm a bit more of a fair weather fan like you, but it's respectable.
I know the hits. I don't know the B-sides,
Right.
This little scene is just hilarious because it's, the most boring, slow intro of a song. There's no action-y elements to this song. Deacon Blues would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
So the Babylon Sister plays, and a mob of Springfieldians attack. The cabal of barflies turn bar spice, and this is almost like that scene, like I said in the Kingsman in the church, which Colin Firth is just killing all the people in church. Freebird is playing. It's just I know Freebird at this time, even now. But back in 2014, I don't want to hear Freebird, but in the movie, it's so awesome. This is what Freebird was made for.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to go. I think I'm going to watch Kingsman later today or sometime this week.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I never saw I saw the sequel, but I think there's 2 more sequels or a prequel. I never watched those ones, but that first movie is just so good. I almost want to take Freebird and put it in just the same this scene with the Simpsons. So Bart, like I said, knocks out Disco's Stew with a pull cue and then uses it to stab a guy in the throat. And then he grabs Sideshow Mel's bone and twists, kicking another attacker before popping Mel's head off. He then uses the bone to grab Radio Wolfcastle's backstage pass, which is on a lanyard around his neck. And Bart tugs on that, decapitating Wolfcastle, kicking his head into the crowd where it's tossed like a beach ball. And Bart continues to fight, splashing hot soup on Hal Lovejoy, poking Jasper in the eye with a fork, sending Principal Skinner's head into a barbecue, and stabbing Nelson with the stick end of a candy apple. Nelson laughs, saying that Bart missed the heart. But then Bart pulls the apple out. Nelson's intestines and organs pour out of his body. And after Bart offers some criticism to the jazz rock band, he tries to make peace with his diabolical father.
We still haven't gotten to the beginning of the song. But Dad, this can be a new beginning for us.
You mean you don't want to kill me?
I love you, Dad. And violence never solved anything. Except this. Also, every time you die, I get another semester of automatic A's.
Everything appears in order, sir, but where is Master Simpson?
I believe he's having a little sherry.
I love that pun, very James Bondy pun at the end.
Yeah, Bart in a little dinghy making out with Sherry.
And there's a song, of course, that plays. It's a very, we'll play it at the end of the podcast, Steve. But yeah, it's like a James Bond theme song. Goldfinger, it's like Goldfinger.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some visuals, Steve. Should we talk about the visuals?
Yes. So Bart slides into the water, and the number 006 shows up, but it flips to show 600, because it's the 600th episode. And then we see Patty and Selma swimming in bikinis, and then we see the crazy cat lady swimming with her cats. And then we have cutouts of the Apu's children, some pickled eggs, a crack into showing Mo. Very James Bondy. We see Sideshow Bob doing some synchronized swimming with different versions of himself. And while all this is going on, they talk about the promos that the Simpsons have had for other shows that were bad. And I'd like to go through those shows. So we have Drexel's Class, which is, of course, one of the on the lineup of Thursday night shows back when the Simpsons were on Thursday nights, and it starred the recently deceased Dabney Coleman.
Yeah, I remember that one. And I'm going to go through ones that I remember. So I vaguely remember that. I don't know if I watched it, but I remember Drexel's Class.
Mm-hmm.
We have Babes, which I don't even know. I honestly, when I saw this episode, some of these titles, I thought, well, some are real, maybe some are fake, because I honestly don't know what Babes is.
So Babes was, I don't know if it's directly a spinoff of Melrose Place, but thanks to the popularity of 90210 and Melrose Place, it was that kind of soap opera-y drama that was about a modeling agency.
Okay.
Next we have Herman's Head, which, of course, featured Beardley Smith.
I remember
as
that
the
one.
Secretary.
Yep. Whoops. Don't remember that. Never heard of it.
So that is a sitcom about, there was a nuclear explosion where everybody died except for this one household of wacky characters. It's kind of like Soap in a way, where it's just like a weird kind of goofy comedy with an amalgamation of people.
Not goofy enough, apparently, Steve.
Yeah, it's only on for less than a season, I do believe.
All right, then we have Two Something. Don't know that one either.
It is in the height of Friends, I believe, trying to get that Gen X kind of sting. It was known for one of the first roles for Portia de Rossi.
Miss Ellen DeGeneres.
That's right. We have House of Buggin'.
Nope, don't know that one either.
That is a Hispanic-inspired sketch show starring John Leguizamo.
How about Sit Down, Shut Up? Never heard of that either.
A later entry that is an animated show, I do believe, by Australian cartoonists and also Mitch Hurwitz of Arrested Development fame. But basically, it was an animated series, but I think the backgrounds were like live action and the characters were not greatly drawn. And I want to say that Will Arnett and Jason Bateman were also in it.
So was it like during Arrested Development years then?
Yeah, it started and ended in 2009. So, yeah.
All right, celebrity boxing.
So basically, it's a boxing match with celebrities.
You know, I think I might have remembered that. Like, it was like Danny Bonaducci versus like Scott Baio or something like that.
Yeah, and I want to say Sarah Palin maybe was in it at some point.
Versus Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Was this The Littlest Groom?
That is exactly what you think it is. It is a reality show from 2004 where a 4'5" bachelor searches for true love.
Okay, I was nervous that it was like, here's a 12-year-old boy who wants to be married. Okay, Man vs. Beast. That does sound familiar.
Yeah, that one I'm gonna look up that one because that one I feel like it's another reality show.
Was it like contestants like fighting a bear?
Kind of. So humans and animals compete in several events. So like a sprinter races a giraffe, a man and bear face off in an eating competition, and military recruits challenge a chimpanzee in an obstacle course.
This is like a Simpsons parody.
Yeah.
Like the new season on Fox, and Homer's watching it. Wow. Okay. Alan Gregory, I remember that was a cartoon. I think that lasted a couple seasons, right? Yeah. Didn't watch it, but I remember that. And then we get to the fun one, Steve. The Critic and Futurama, which now they're making fun of themselves.
That's right.
And then finally, an untitled Seth MacFarlane show, 2017, which I think that's when The Orville came out, right?
It is, yeah.
Which, hey, you know what, Steve? You talking about sci-fi?
Yeah.
I highly recommend you watch The Orville.
All right, I'll give it a try. Yeah, I'm going through this kind of sci-fi moment, so maybe it's time to give The Orville a chance.
You know, I think the first episode was made for the network to show, like, oh, don't worry, there's going to be, like, some jokes in it, of course. But then, like, Seth didn't want to make, like, here's, you know, Family Guy in space. He wanted to make, like, Star Trek The Next Generation, but with, like, a little bit of humor. I highly recommend that show. I might be ready for a rewatch.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about it on the Patreon.
I hope so.
For now, that's our episode. Let's take a break, think about what we just watched, and we'll be right back.
$600. Yes, that's right. We've churned out 600 shows. It goes and goes. 2 times 300. And thousands of promos for shows that were bad. Yes, they were bad. So very bad. We love
Alrighty, Craig, we're back. Let's finish up our discussion of Treehouse of Horror 27. We'll talk about the things we liked, the things that made us laugh, and what we liked, and what we thought of the episode. and even what we're watching next week. But before we do all that, we like to give each other gifts in this spooky season. And Craig, for you, I've got 3 gifts that highlight the joy of this episode. So, first of all, I got you a bottle of Logan's rum. I also got you a used prison harmonica with the drool still intact. And also a pool cue so you can be your own Kingsman, knocking the asses of those who attack you.
Well, I appreciate that, Steve. And would you be surprised to know that you also get a bottle of Logan's rum?
Nice.
And then I also got you a DVD of the porn parody of Logan's Run called Logan's Cum.
Love it.
Also got you a bottle of Logan's Cum.
Yum, yum.
Also another bottle of Logan, a.k.a. Hugh Jackman's Cum.
Even better. So musical.
And then a bottle of Logan Paul's Cum, which is just his energy drink.
Ugh. Gross. Logan Paul. I'd rather have Mountain Dew.
Yeah. I also got you an imaginary friend. So just imagine a new friend, and there they are.
Ah, nice.
And from the third segment, Steve, I know you took some fencing when you were a kid, so I got you a fencing robot like Carl has in the third segment.
Ooh.
So here's your 2 Eppies and a Homer-looking robot. Not like the Homer-looking robot from the beginning of the episode, but, you know.
Right.
The one with the wheels. Yep. There you go.
I dig it. I like it a lot. But what did you like, Craig, especially from this episode?
I always forget how we do the segments. We talk about like our favorite joke from each segment, so let me just get those out of the way. The opening of Welcome to 600, you know, with King and Kodos and Bob and the Leprechaun, Frank Grimes getting killed. That's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of political joke jabs there with Ivanka 2028. And seeing all the episodes, all 600, right? Represented there. A lot of fun. And callbacks, too. Of course, Maggie being Charlie Chaplin, but then turning it into the Clockwork Orange for some reason. Bringing that back. And seeing Frank Grimes. But the main storyline, Steve, of course, the Hunger Games segments, I gotta go with, I think you're right with like the sign gags or how the map of Springfield with Despair Heights and Thirsty Pines and Evergreen Terrace is very funny, but the Dusty Springfield is also very funny. So, And like Homer's quote, too, about being like the drunk who sobers up and is not drunk anymore during these post-apocalyptic movies. And the 2 Pitas being killed by Homer. That's a lot of fun. So those might be some of my favorite gags. And then the second segment, just the ongoing deaths of and funerals. And like, the shrink also being murdered. Particularly, I think you said it in the show, but it's also my favorite scene is like Lisa thinking of the horror. Like her worst nightmares and her just driving a gas guzzling like Jeep with a dead deer, running over all the things that she admires.
Mm-hmm.
I love that a lot. And then the third segment, I think the animation of all like the end massacre scene is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just well done. And everything, being like a fan of like James Bond and those type of movies, just the fun Easter eggs, just like looking in the background of the scenes. There's just a lot going on. You know, they have Halloween money, so they can animate that stuff. The Homer's like lava sequence. You know, we talked about the segments like being parodies of stuff, but part 2, I can't tell you if that's a parody or is it just like just original like IP of something or just them making a Halloween story.
Yeah, I was kind of like trying to find that myself, and I couldn't really find anything on the internet about what it might be parodying. The internet says that another movie called Lights Out, but that came out in June of 2016, which would just be a mere, like, 4 months before this episode aired, which is not enough time for production. It seems weird that there isn't a movie where an imaginary friend kills people. It's such a great idea, but I think it might just be a Simpsons original thought.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like something like you might have seen before. I mean, The Shining in a way, right?
Yeah.
An imaginary friend. Probably been a story that's been told. Steve, again, you talking about sci-fi. There's an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called Imaginary Friend, where this little girl has an imaginary friend, and she makes her do things. But, of course, the imaginary friend is an alien who's eating the cats and eating the dogs.
Like the great Hannibal Lecter.
Yes, on the Starship Enterprise. So, yeah, maybe that is. So, yeah, those are some of my favorite scenes. So, how about you?
Oh boy, yeah. The intro was fun. It was cool to see like all of the villains team up, and I just like the beginning where, you know, they're going Christmas tree shopping in October. You know, a good commentary on America's need to go too early for most things. The gag of Mr. Burns talking about how there's no water and then pouring a glass of water, taking a sip, throwing the glass down, throwing the pitcher down, and then using a garden hose and then a fire hose to blast it. Just that heightening is really a lot of fun. And also just like the extreme nature of the drought. I like that. Like I mentioned, the fire hydrant shooting fire. Always funny. Second bit, I really like the funerals, of course, and just like Homer's line about who would have thought a funeral for a bunch of kids would be so sad or be such a downer. The animation of it is a lot of fun, and I also just really love Sergeant Sausage, and also Wiggum in it when they're in Lisa's room, and he's like, well, 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 well. And, well, what about the nail polish? And then the violence in the last bit, which was so controversial. This is banned in Japan. I didn't mention this when we were talking about the episode, but this episode was banned in Japan because it was so violent. And it was only the second episode to be banned, aside from the one where they actually go to Japan. And also the Bond parody, especially the song at the end, making fun of all the defunct Fox shows. It's all around a good time. Now, when we do have, these triad of episodes, especially Treehouse of Horror, we like to rank them. So, Craig, how would you rank these three from your favorite to least favorite, or the other way around?
I feel like with Treehouse of Horrors, usually the first segment is kind of like the prestige one. It's the best one. It's always like rolls off the episode, and then it just kind of like goes down, not downhill, but like the second and third segments aren't particularly as well as the first segment. The first segment usually is a little bit longer. And even the Simpsons have talked about how the second segment, third segment, they're the boring ones. I think this is the opposite. I mean, it might be because I'm a James Bond fan, or like those Kingsman fans, or that kind of espionage-y, revenge porn, as I call it, movies. I think the third one might be my favorite. And there is like some good gags and things like that. And I think maybe the second segment, because of the original thought, and it's such a good, fun story. I almost wish that was like one whole episode of an imaginary friend killing people. It does make for a good movie, which probably exists and we just don't know it. So fans out there, let us know. And then I guess the first segment is probably my least. We'll throw in the couch gag and the intro as its own entity, and I'm not going to rank those as an episode, but they're all well done. So that would be my my assessment. I just love the third segment, and I think this is a fun Treehouse of Horror. Look, I don't feel like there is a bad Treehouse of Horror, like disgusting. I'm not going to watch this episode ever again. They're all fun, and they should be in the moment of the pop culture zeitgeist, because it's they could do whatever they want. They got carte blanche to just put out the wildest and craziest ideas. And I think this one, it goes up there. It's a lot of fun. So, give this a ranking out of what's this? It's the 600th episode, but also it's the 27th Treehouse of Horror. So I'll give this episode a 627 out of The Simpsons.
I like it.
How about you?
I kind of agree with you, and that's kind of where I thought you were going to go with your rankings. I also agree that the first segment was probably my least favorite. The Hunger Games Mad Max Fury Road parody was probably the weakest for me, although it was very strong. I like the intro, I like the couch gag, but if I had to rank it, I'd say probably BFF RIP is probably my favorite. I like the idea of it. It seems very original, and I like where they go with it. I think the Kingsman Bond parody is probably my second favorite. I really like, the Michael Caine character. I like their melding of both Bond and Kingsman, and the general violence of it is a lot of fun. And then, I think the Hunger Games, while well done, doesn't speak to me as much, but I think it's very good. I think this is a solid entry into the Treehouse of Horror. I think it's bold the way that they were so bloody and violent in this, especially with the violence towards children. Having the pea-soaked diapers as a hat, I think that's a bold move that I think is a little bit out of the Simpsons comfort zone, but still good. And if I had to give it a ranking, I'm going to say the nail polish was 0.43 ounces, so I'm going to give this a full ounce out of 0.43.
I think this is a fun way to start the spooky season, Steve, of the Simpsons.
Indeed, and I look forward to more. And I do have good news for us. There is a new episode next week. However, it is not quite yet a Treehouse of Horror. Craig, what do you think the title is?
Well, I believe it's going to be the third episode of season 36.
I do believe you're correct.
Hey, look, there's movie parodies, right? The Hunger Games or the Kingsman. And this segment, so I'm going to say it's called the Hungry Homer Games.
That does sound like a lot of fun. However, that is not correct. The title is Desperately Seeking Lisa. What do you think that's about, Craig?
So it's going to be set in Springfield, and the plot involves an interaction between two women. A bored housewife, of course, is played by Marge, and a bohemian drifter, played by Lisa. So they're linked by various messages in the personal section of a newspaper. And the episode was Lisa's first major screen role, and also provided early roles for a number of other well-known performers, such as Homer Simpson, Bart Simpson, Laurie Metcalf, and Stephen Wright.
Wow, Stephen Wright! I didn't know that.
It was written by Leora Barish, and it is said to have been given an uncredited rewrite by Craig Bolotine. Oh man, they outed my last name.
Oh.
So Desperately Seeking Lisa was a commercial success, and as the 31st highest-grossing film of the year, every episode of the year, grossing $27.3 million in the United States. I guess that's 20 grossing viewers. Yeah. The episode received predominantly positive reviews for both Marge, and Madonna, Lisa, acting critically acclaimed. Desperately Seeking Lisa is noted for its impact on the 2020s fashion, especially among the young female audience at the time. So the episode's costuming has been influenced in part by Lisa's own early style, and the episode was also noted as a representation of yuppie culture and feminism. Some critics labeled Desperately Seeking Lisa as one of the best U.S. episodes of the year, including Vincent Canby of the New York Times, and eventually of the decade by publications such as NME and Rolling Stone.
Wow.
Many others have labeled it a cult classic of the 2024s. And in 2023, 1 year before this episode, the episode was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. The runtime will be 104 minutes.
Okay.
And the budget for the episode was only $5 million.
That's pretty good for an episode.
Directed by Susan Seidelman.
Of course.
Am I right?
You're so close to being right, but no. Maybe. Lisa has blazing misadventures in the dark world of Capital City's downtown art scene.
Not another Lisa episode.
Oh, no. But yes.
I was just being like, the internet.
Yeah. It was written by Tim Long, and it features Richard E. Grant, Molly Shannon, and Tracy Letts. So, fun guest stars and a fun episode.
All right.
Maybe.
Richard
I don't know.
E. Grant. I like Richard E. Grant. He's fun. And Molly Shannon. It's great. And Tracy lets himself go in this episode.
Hey. Well, we hope you don't let us go. And we hope that you keep listening because we appreciate you. And, we want to hear from you. And so you can always reach out to us on the socials like your Threads, your Instagram, and your YouTube at 138Simpsons. And you can always email us at 138Simpsons@gmail.com.
And go ahead and leave us a review on Apple Podcast or whatever podcast app you listen to this podcast on. You don't have to write a real review. You can just write, what's your favorite way to hunt and murder a child in a battle royale?
Mm-hmm. If you want to look good while you're killing children, go to tpublic.com/user/AnnoyedGruntBoy and get yourself some Annoyed Grunt Boy swag. Thank you so much for listening. For this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
And I have been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, I don't take orders from a hot dog.
Cut slices into me first.
Why do we keep re-electing this guy?